Welcome to a little bit of a confession at the beginning of this Qatari Grand Prix weekend. You'll notice in the background I've done practice, sprint qualifying and the sprint. I've recorded it in two parts, and in that first part I had an issue with my game audio. So unfortunately the footage for sprint qualifying and the sprint only has me, no meow meow meow. So apologies for that, but there is game audio for the qualifying and race that I'm about to go into, so we'll cut now to the actual start of the episode, but apologies for that in the first smaller portion of today's video. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the F125 Qatari Grand Prix weekend. This is the penultimate race of the season. We're still driving as Victor Martin today, and we're hoping to pick up some more points to fight in the championship with Aston Martin is growing very, very intense indeed. We were able to extend our advantage in the last Grand Prix weekend in Las Vegas, but it's still only a 7-point swing at the moment between ourselves and the green team for P6 in the Constructors. And of course, two opportunities for points today here in Qatar. Traditionally, on F124, I tended to fare well at Qatar. We shall wait and see how well we do on this particular occasion. First time driving this circuit on F125 entirely. Going to put my older parts in for practice, and then we'll put the fresher parts in for the most important sessions, of course, for the race weekend. It shouldn't be too difficult to find a setup for Qatar, but you do have to find that balance between aero for the corners and that monstrously long straight with the DRS to try and make the most of that, because there's no point being great around the corners if you're just going to get mobbed down the straight by everybody else. We have the opportunity, of course, with a sprint race to kind of trial a setup, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, we can tweak it for when the big boy points are on offer in the race itself. Being in the desert, of course, no chance of rain today, so fully dry sessions throughout, and hopefully we can end the season strong over the next couple of races and head into season 2, depending on, of course, the shake-up with the regulation changes, hoping to challenge for potentially points every single race weekend rather than just every now and then. Do drop the video a like if you're continually enjoying the save. I'd very much appreciate it. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out on any more of the content, and please do come and join me on stream. Links in the description down below to the main channel where we stream on YouTube and to the Twitch channel where we stream on Twitch, both Chesnoid Gaming on any given platform, so do come and join me and see every lap of every session that we do. But without any further ado, I'm going to head to practice, I'm going to get the right setup, and then we're going to do well in sprint qualifying, right? That's the plan. Nail the last corner, and I think our qualifying time in SQ1 is going to be silly fast compared to everyone else. 21.7. That's P3. Through the last corner again, and power to the straight. We might just run out of battery before we get to the line. Just now we do. That was P5, I think that says on my steering wheel. Again, not massively OP, just a good solid lap with a pretty optimum battery usage as well. Max is into the 20s. Everybody other than one McLaren have gone out for a second run here. Whether there's any improvements to be had on a second run, I don't know. We've done just the one run on this set of soft tyres. And it's only a 21.7 again, which is no better than we did on the mediums, really. It's P9. Ultimately, not a great qualifying lap there, it seems. So maybe some of the earlier sessions were a little bit misleading. 120 flat from Max. Oof. Okay, here we go then. Sprint race time. A Ferrari directly behind me. Two McLarens in front, one of which on the medium tyres. Albon there is on the medium tyre as well. Gasly's had a great start. He's alongside me already. On that soft tyre. Trying to hang it around the outside of him here to have the inside line for the next one, which we've been able to do. Managing throttle application a little bit so we don't run into the back of Piastri. Positions held at the beginning of the lap. At the beginning of the race. Which is good enough, although obviously only top 8 score points in a sprint, so we are going to need to make a position if we are to score any points here. little bit concertinaed up through the hairpin, but again, we'll have the inside line for the next turn, so not worrying about Gasly at the minute. It's down main straight that I'm slightly concerned about our competitiveness and our straight line speed. Through the turns, I don't really have much of a worry about our competitiveness, but the tyre wear does potentially have me a little concerned as well. That it is slightly higher than anticipated with the practice program, but is that compared to everybody else as well? Are they going to have excellent tyre wear compared to my only half-decent tyre wear? With battery, they are pulling down the straight quite considerably. But provided we can stay within DRS range and build the battery back up through the beginning of the lap, we should be okay to maintain position, try and move forward a little bit. Happy enough with things so far. Everything going relatively according to plan. Of course, with us on the medium tyre compared to those on the soft, we're playing the longer game. But we're not the only one doing that. There are 5 of us on the medium tyre in the top 9 cars. Albon, vulnerable. Very vulnerable. Is he going to go defensive? Yes. I'm going to go around the outside of the Williams. Make it stick and try and close that gap on the McLarens now. It's going to be difficult to do. 1.2 seconds the gap at the minute, but it will grow a bit here as they're in some free air. And they're now not going to concertina up behind each other too much here into the hairpin as well. Piastri's fallen off the back of Norris, but I don't know as I'll be able to close a 6 to 6.5 tenth gap by turn 1. We'll try. Using quite a bit of battery. Looks like we should be able to do it. Is Piastri going to go defensive? Not massively, but have committed to the outside line. And we'll make it work. Piastri taken. Now then, Sainz starting to fall back on his soft tyres, and the medium runners really starting to show some strength now. We are battling against McLarens and Ferrari at the moment, so I can't complain too much about our competitiveness in a straight line, can I really? If over the whole lap we're still able to maintain some sort of gap to those behind. Still punching above our weight really, but here comes 1, here comes 2. Not really much you can do about that in this situation. Just got to make sure you try and time it right so that you're in the right place at the right time to finish higher come the end of the race. And well, looking at the gap to Max and George, it's going to take at least that, isn't it, to try and be challenging for wins in events like this. Long way away from challenging for wins at the minute. Hello, Lewis. Hi, mate. No, mate. Although I've gone deep. I'll have the inside line. I'll try and... No, I'm going to have to give it up. Oh, he's giving it up. All right. I'll let the place go. I kept it by going wide. This is the final lap of the sprint. This last few laps have just kind of disappeared, really. Stuck. Well, not stuck. Sat behind Hamilton. Albonno's actually done really well to hang on to a P11 at the minute and retake Alonso and start to pull away from him. Still a big fight for third in this one. Sainz has fallen back to the trio in front of Hamilton, or to become part of the trio in front of Hamilton, and Leclerc has gotten him. I just haven't had the pace to keep up with those guys at this particular moment in time, unfortunately. I'm going to take probably about 8 or 9% of my downforce out for the main Grand Prix and for qualifying, to hope to be more competitive in a straight line and manage it round the corners. I hope that that gives us the chance to be a bit more competitive over the course of a race distance, rather than utilising our corner speed for a qualifying lap, because as you can see we are lacking for straight line speed. Not to worry, a P10 would have been points in the main Grand Prix, so we'll hope for maybe that again, at least in the Grand Prix to come. But in the sprint, it's P10. So for this first qualifying session for the actual Grand Prix, we've got fresh parts in, and I've also tweaked the setup by taking 4 ticks of downforce out of both the front and the rear. So it will probably affect our overall competitiveness in terms of a single lap for qualifying in a negative sense. But hopefully in race pace, it will help us in a more positive sense because we'll be faster in a straight line. So fingers crossed we can be... Well, I put exactly the same time in as Carlos Sainz there, but he must have set his time first because he's in front of me. So hopefully we'll be probably further back on the grid, but further forward in the race. Lance Stroll out, both V-carbs out. The Haas of Ollie Behrman and Bortoletto. Nice to see Zane Maloney not bottom, but he was still close to bottom. It was a 121.7 in Q1. Q2 is going to produce a 121.5, I think that was. I think I see a single digit on my dashboard. I do, it's P5. We are through to the third part of qualifying, just as we were in the sprint as well, albeit silently, whereas now we're going a bit more vroom vroom. Charles Leclerc out in Q2, which is a surprise. The only real shock from the top 10. Both Mercedes, first and second. George Russell was very strong, of course, in that sprint race. So it's maybe a surprise to see Kimi Antonelli quite where he is there, but fair play to him. Let's see if he can do it again in the session that matters. There you go, Russell in the 19s again. George Russell, winner of the sprint. And it seems like he's got the pace again in qualifying here. 3/10 up on Hamilton at the moment, supposedly, it says, as he's looking at the deltas and not where he's driving. We might be able to get a better qualifying position here than we had in the sprint. And the change to take some wing out and prioritise straight line speed over cornering ability might pay dividends. A P7 for us here, which I don't think is quite as high as Lewis Hamilton. But obviously making that mistake in the third sector there on the way out of the final part there. Lewis exactly 1 second behind his former teammate George Russell, who is pole by a 10th from Max, who is then half a second clear of a still very well performing Kimi Antonelli in third. We've got Oscar Piastri behind us, Albon in 9th, and then Alonso didn't go out for a second run, so he starts 10th, maybe saving a set of tyres there in the Aston Martin, which might benefit him in the Grand Prix to come. We're going to have to sort our strategy out, but then it's a Grand Prix to come. There are a couple of retirees in the sprint, but nothing that will affect us, I don't believe. Jack Doohan retired quite early on, didn't he? But obviously the Alpine is going to be nowhere near us. So unless we're in P6, which we are actually in P6 there, so there is a penalty from someone in front of us. And that someone in front of us is Charles Leclerc? Oh no, Charles Leclerc was out in Q2, wasn't he? Hamilton taking a penalty. Lewis down in 14th now then. Maloney still 17th. Actually, no. Was he 17th anyway? Was he 19th? Yeah, was 19th. Doohan and Lawson taking penalties as we expected Doohan to do. So starting P6 then here. Everyone else is starting on the softs apart from Lando. Everyone but Lando on a soft tyre here, which is intriguing.
Getting another points finish in this race. Keep it clean and hopefully we can work our way up the field.
With my projected tyre wear, I should go medium hard. That's intriguing. What reckons I should one-stop it? Although it reckons a one-stop soft medium is possible. Although the medium tyre that we had on in the sprint going 19 laps was pretty dead by the end of it. So to take a medium set 31 at the end and to take a soft set 26 laps, I don't quite think it's possible, mate. So we'll try and do the one-stop medium to hard. And then if we need to throw in a soft run in there at some point, then we can do. But that hard tyre will definitely do 31 laps, I'm pretty sure. In terms of fuel, I'm going to take 3.5 laps worth of extra fuel. But we'll do what Lando's doing and start on the medium tyre. Starting on the medium was really the better thing to do in the sprint. It's just that we didn't have the straight line speed to make the most of that tyre benefit. Whereas now, we should hopefully have the straight line speeds to make the most of that tyre benefit. So we'll go medium to hard. We might have to throw in a soft there if needs be, but that will be race dependent. But P6 is a great place to start.
Okay, incredible parking there. Nice one. That's going to give you the edge if you can get good launch as the race starts.
Well, it's Lando and I versus the rest here. The two sole drivers on medium tyres start next to each other. And not a bad start at all. Lando's got away well too. Tsunoda struggling a little bit. I'll have a look up the inside if I can, but not quite able to make anything stick. Lando's going to have the inside line for this next one. It's going to be slightly tighter for him because I was on his outside, but then my exit is compromised as well, but we're all right. Really got a run on Lando here. I could go for a move up the inside into the next one. And we haven't made it stuck. Excellent. P5. And, well, I'd say and counting. To be fair, Antonelli, we're not anticipating to be massively quick in race trim. But still going to be pretty fast in the Mercedes because obviously he's qualified very well. His race pace was always better than his quali pace in this save at the beginning of the season. Now I feel like his quali pace is going to be better than his race, and it might be vice versa. He was used to qualify quite a way down and then actually work his way back through. Obviously crashed out at the Austrian Grand Prix this most recent weekend, so he'll be hoping that doesn't happen to him here as well, as will Mercedes. He's got a half-decent gap on Lando already, but the soft-rubbered front four runners
DRS now enabled. DRS
are
enabled.
Going at the minute. Obviously, we saw quite a few trains in the sprint race, but we were part of the first one after George and Max just pieced out, and then it was all aboard the Yuki train, wasn't it? A minute, Yuki's in P3, in P4, and is at the back of the train in front. To be fair, Piastri's dropped back a bit from the back of Lando, and the two of us are running our own little race here. In fact, Alonso, battling with Piastri, has made his way past him. That's going to earn us a really nice gap, actually. And if I can... I'm not going to be able to keep Lando at bay, so I'm not going to waste too much battery for the remainder of this lap. Knowing that Lando is invariably going to get me into turn one, we'll just save our battery and make sure that we can stay with Lando on lap 3 to stay in his DRS and maybe try and DRS swap with him so that we're in a position where we can still stay as close as possible to Antonelli, Tsunoda and co. But the front three are leaving Yuki behind at the moment as well. Yuki's finding himself not quite have the pace here at the minute. So Lando will get me, of that there's no doubt. We've got a 3-second back to Alonso already, so a top 6 finish is looking strong at the moment.
Lost the position, try to keep focus.
Although obviously we're going to have to overcut those on the softs and then come back through, and we're not sure how many are going to be 1-stopping on the softs and how many are going to be 2-stopping. Like I say, going to have to use quite a bit of battery here to try and stick with Lando.
Last lap, 1 minute 28.5. They're on fresh soft.
We'll see if they're 1-stopping or 2-stopping behind.
They've got one more stop.
So Piastri's 1-stopping.
Small amount of damage to the front wing,
that will earn us some good time as well. Piastri might be a bit of a moving roadblock for those behind. How bad is that front wing damage for the McLaren? Oh, quite sizable indeed. The entire left end plate of the front wing gone. Piastri is not going to be very quick here at all. Who he's had contact with, I'm not sure. Might even have maybe been his teammate, but Lando's not got any damage on his car, so it must have happened behind, with Alonso presumably. Piastri back through, but it will hopefully cause him to be quite slow, and that rear train will just lose pace behind us and just make a top 6 finish look even more strong. We know we're quite quick at Qatar compared to the AI comparatively for where we should be as a car, and comparatively to what we were doing in F124. Keep going wide there. What we were doing in F124, we were quite quick in 24 here as well, weren't we? So we, as we mentioned earlier on in the episode, probably thinking of upping the difficulty to 104 for next season, but I didn't feel like it was the right thing to do to up the difficulty for this race or the remainder of this season. Piastri, surely we got overtaken by Alonso now. It's just a case of, can Piastri hold on? He's not been overtaken by Alonso. How has he managed that? 4 tenths to go, unless Piastri got past Alonso and he was the front car come the end of the straight but wasn't at the beginning. I wasn't paying too much attention, in all honesty. But they're 3.5 seconds behind, and it really is continually looking very good for us right now. I don't know as we'll finish any higher than 5th or 6th, because that front 4 are just, well, they're gone, aren't they? Let's be honest. I know they're on the soft tyre, but Max and George were absolutely gone anyway, weren't they, in the sprint, regardless of any pace we did or didn't have. And they're taking Kimi Antonelli with them at the moment, although they have left him behind a little bit now. Lando is going to have the pace, it seems, to leave me behind as well. So we might have a bit of a lonely first stint here, with Lando gapping me in front and us gapping Piastri and Alonso behind. But let's go wide again on the way out of that triple header. So we had a bit of a lonely sprint race at times, or at least not necessarily lonely, but actionless, where it was just kind of stuck in a train. Right now, we're not in a train, but we are very much stuck where we are. Gap to Lando Norris has grown to nearly 3.5 seconds now, so we're definitely not catching the McLaren anytime soon. Russell and Verstappen have dropped Antonelli for sure now, but he's still able to maintain a bit of a gap to Tsunoda at the minute. I don't anticipate much changing in the positions around us at all between now and the first pit stop. The only things that could change are Piastri falling slightly further back, but that's kind of it at the minute. Everyone is kind of locked into their position right now, driving their own race, trying to manage the tyre wear, manage the fuel consumption, and get to the end as quickly as possible, regardless of everybody else. Start lap 16 here. Everything is mainly as you were.
Gap to the car in front.
You'll notice that Alex Albon has been able to get past Alonso and Piastri and break free of that group. Piastri is now dropped behind the first of the 2 Ferrari, which presumably is Leclerc, who qualified behind his teammate but started in front of him because of the grid penalty for Lewis Hamilton. And there you go, Leclerc is now past Alonso and up into P8 to confirm that yes, the Monegasque is the front of the 2 Ferrari. We're about half a second a lap-ish, although less than recently, slower than Fernando Alonso, not Fernando Alonso, than Lando Norris. We're about a second a lap slower than Tsunoda and co, as you can see. Lap 16, the gap's 16 seconds, and we've been about, it makes no difference really, about a second a lap faster than the group behind in most cases. Now that Albon is through, he's starting to close that gap a little bit on those soft tyres. You'll be able to visually see how poor that front left looks compared to the front right. The front right is at 20%, front left at 44% after just 16 laps of racing here. We need to take it another 10 laps to get it to lap 26 to box off it, to do the one stop. I was hoping that those behind would scrap so much so that I'd end up with a free pit stop in terms of time behind, so that we could, if we wanted to, switch to a 2-stop and still finish in 6th. But now that Albon and Leclerc are past and closing,
gaining on you by 5/10 a lap,
by a sizable enough margin, I think we're not going to have that luxury, so we might well be also just definitely doing a 1-stop and hoping to maintain the gap at the end of the race. But I don't think we'll stand any chance of catching anyone in front without any sort of safety car or VSC help at the right time. And everybody on the softs will be boxing before us and will get a significant undercut. Or will they? Actually, though, they were going to take... I think the strategy was 26 laps on the medium or 26 laps on the soft. So they might actually box the same lap as me and they won't get an undercut. Anyone that's two-stopping will be boxing within the next couple of laps. So that'll become rather evident sooner rather than later who's looking for that strategy. Piastri now behind Alonso and both Ferrari. Stroll is closing in on the back here, and then there's just the train that has been like that the whole race so far. But I am anticipating some boxers, maybe not many, but some soon. There you go, first of which he's already in. So one of the Aston Martins, which I believe is Alonso, because he was the more forward of the two. Alonso on a two-stop here, as is one of the Saubers, but they're the only ones to stop on 17. The recommended 18 for me, so we may well see some more stoppers on 18 that are two-stopping, but I mean, they're going to be close to getting lapped already. They've been going that slowly. The Sauber, genuinely, it's going to be in a really bad spot if there's a safety car at any point soon, because he's on his way out the pits now, and they're with him. He's going to get lapped. After just 18 laps of this race, that whole train is moving so slowly that someone has boxed from within it and has already lapped. It's not a short lap here in Qatar. So they really are just killing themselves for pace at the front of that train. She probably would have put 2 and 2 together to figure that out anyway. Gap to Alex Albon now 10.8. It was as high as 12.5 to 13 seconds slightly earlier.
9.1 seconds.
We'll see if anyone does box on 18 to switch to a two-stop or to do a two-stop. But I think the majority are going to be on the one, keeping an eye or half an eye on the pit box. The most important positions behind us have all stayed out. One of the Hasses is in, and he's the only one. So minimal two-stoppers here. It seems the one-stop is certainly then the more favoured strategy, which is what we're on, which is what we're doing, which is what we will do. Switching to the hard tyre on lap 26 is the plan. Albon is in the box in the Williams, as with one of the Ferrari as well. It's Charles Leclerc, so they are potentially two-stopping. They've just gone a little bit longer on their tyres than I would have done if I were two-stopping. Probably because my tyre wear is quite high. It was at 1.16 times the expected rate in the practice qualifying programme, or practice race strategy programme, should I say. So my tyre wear is high here. Piastri now. Yeah, and some more in the box as well. Okay, so more two-stoppers than I thought then. The one-stop is still the favoured strategy for us. If we end up with a free stop later in the race, then we might as well stop for a set of softs. I think we've got a fresh set of softs. I'll double check in a minute when we get onto the straight and see what tyre sets I have available to me. It might just be slightly worn softs, like 6 or 7% from doing one quali run. They might be used. Let's have a look. We know we've got new hards. I do only have used softs and no more mediums.
Okay, here's the gap.
So it would be a set of softs that have done a qualifying run that would be available to me. Stopping in 6 laps time to put the hard tyre on and then hopefully go to the end. Max is in on 26. No, sorry, Tsunoda is in on 26. Max, George and Antonelli have kept going a little bit longer on their soft tyre. They take these soft tyres such a far way. My medium tyre is 69% worn on the front left, and they've taken their softs just as far. It's pretty ludicrous, really. When we slow down to pit limited speeds, just look how bad the surface of the tyres looks. It's normally just one sheen, clean looking surface, but especially when we stop in the box, just look at how bad these tyres look. Absolutely dead. Ripped to shreds.
Okay, go, go, go.
Really good
Perfect
stop by the
job
team
from you
there.
and the crew there, mate.
Piastri's
We're
now
delighted with that.
being playing roadblock again, although he has just boxed then at the end of 26. And we might
To speed now.
just
Let's
about
get
be
some
seeing
heat
some
into
other
both tyres.
cars on track. Here comes Charles Leclerc into turn 1. And Albon gets around the outside of him because Leclerc didn't adjust his line for the fact that I was coming out of the pits. So now I'm going to have some very quick, soft runners right behind me. They're going to be much faster than me, even though I'm on fresh tyres. Because I'm on the hards and they're on not that worn old softs at the minute. We're taking our hards to the end. They are not taking their softs to the end. But staying with these two is going to be race critical in terms of making sure that, steady, we stand a chance of finishing ahead of them come the end of the entire Grand Prix, because they've got one more stop to make. But if they get past me and pull away, then they will undoubtedly catch me again when they stop for a second time. Whereas if they are still with me, or I'm still with them, more accurately probably, when the second pit stop happens and they have to take basically a full pit stop's worth of gap behind me, then I don't think they'll catch me, regardless of the tyre deficit.
Okay,
But they're going to get me here. I might as well just save my battery. I'm going to lose 2 positions.
Gap to your teammate behind, 32.4 seconds.
But we'll try and stick with them through the course of this lap and ensure that we preserve our net P6 finish. Leclerc is struggling. I don't know whether he's got any damage at all, but Albon has the pace on him here, and Leclerc is having some trouble in the corners. I'm going to ask about the state of that car in front.
Ahead. Time last
Hamilton
lap,
is right
1
behind me.
minute,
I wonder whether Leclerc's got some
26.3.
damage as well.
Less than a second separates you. Okay, they're on old softs.
It doesn't
Their
seem
tyres
like
are
it.
8 laps old. We think they've got one more stop.
No damage on Leclerc. He's just struggling on his tyres. He only boxed a couple of laps prior to Albon. If not, steady. If not on the same lap. When did they both box? Looking for Albon on 19 and Leclerc. Yeah, they both boxed on the same lap. Albon and Leclerc. Leclerc seems to be struggling on those soft tyres, and Albon isn't. Gap to Hamilton behind is only half a second here. I've got to stay with these in front. It's really race critical and P6 critical that I do. Otherwise we could be finishing significantly further down than where we've spent most of this race running so far. And my hard tyres are starting to become better than those in front now. We are definitely more competitive in comparison to them than we were earlier in the stint. And Albon and Leclerc are fighting hard here. We were Hamilton behind though, but Leclerc has taken the Williams here. I guess I'm happy to just sit. But if I can take them and protect myself with a bit more of a gap, then that would be preferential. Already 7% wear on that front left. Worried that we might be in a similar position with this hard set than we were with the mediums at the end of the last stint, in that we're risking a front left puncture at the end of the stint. We might well be forced into a second stop purely from a tyre wear perspective. Oh, I didn't think he'd give me the room. He's got the acceleration there, unfortunately. Try another switchback. Get on the gas a bit. I didn't have the rear traction. If I'd have absolutely nailed the throttle there, the car was going to go round. I thought about having a look at Albon up the inside and thought, no, I'm probably not got the gap. So then just move to the outside. And then on exit, I thought he'd just move across and try and block my exit. But he actually took his exit a bit tighter and allowed me the room to try and have a go Around the outside of him on the exit and then up the inside at the next corner, but he had the traction out of the turn to be able to stop me from being able to do so. Lewis Hamilton is still very interested in the back of my car. I mean, we're still comfortable enough here, but
The pace is strong, but be aware, these tyres need to go the distance.
still a long way to go. Go away, Lewis. Thank you. Could have a bit of a run on Albon here. When I say could have, do have a bit of a run on Alex Albon here. It's just a case of who's braver on the brakes and who can have the better exit. I think actually he had the better exit, but my little moment there meant that he had to get out the throttle because I nearly got flung across into him. We'll try and stick with Charles Leclerc if we can through the remainder of the rest of the lap to make sure we have DRS to defend from Albon next lap, just as we were using Albon's DRS to defend to Lewis Hamilton, and comfortably with Charles Leclerc now.
Battery charge is high. Let's use that overtake button.
Lando has also gone to the hard tyre, so he's medium harding the same way that we're medium harding. Some are soft mediuming, some are soft mediuming. I think Lando and I might be the only two that end up running the hard tyre all race. Albon's actually dropped back now. Might end up having more than a second's worth of gap to him by the time we get to the DRS zone, but at the minute Charles Leclerc has more than a second's gap to me, so let's just make sure we get back within that DRS zone, and we have done. Right, time to try and drop the second Ferrari and the first of the Williams. Maybe I would think about getting past Charles Leclerc next lap. Yellow flag at the end of Sector 1, or midway through Sector 2 should I say. It's an Alpine. Doohan retired from the last race. Is Doohan retiring from this one too? Looks likely. It looks very likely right now. Yes.
Some information on Doohan.
But
okay,
no
like
VSC or safety car as a result.
Retiring the car.
20 laps left here. We only have a used set of softs available to go to. According to the stints from the other drivers, they would do those 20 laps, but I don't think I'd like to use them for that long if I can avoid it. He's offering my old used mediums to me at some point, but there's no way I whack that old used set of mediums back on again with the front left fit to burst. So we will set used softs as our next tyre if we decide to box again. Believe that used set of softs are about 6% worn from a quali run as Charles Leclerc boxes. Well, thank you for the DRS. Albon in behind as well. Albon in behind as well. So they have 20 laps to try and overcome a pit stop's worth of time to catch me. The gap to Lando is about the same as it was when we pit, really. More so, I think. Lewis 2.5 seconds behind. Stroll 14 seconds behind. Thick second of. Thick end of. So, continually, for the next 20 laps, it's probably going to be like the first 20 laps. Very comfortable with us running on our own until the checkered flag. Stroll and Hamilton in the box behind me. So we're going to have a sizable lead over them now. I think Leclerc is probably going to come through. And he is. Leclerc's been lapped by Max Verstappen. Verstappen has lapped everybody. As does George Russell, to be fair. George is actually further ahead than Max right now. George Russell has lapped everybody up to myself as well. So we may well only actually, well, we certainly will only be doing 56 laps of this Grand Prix, because there's no way that they don't catch me in the 20 laps to go, and they've both one-stopped, soft to medium, so...
Okay, Zane's coming in for his stop now.
They'll be catching me, passing me, just as we're catching to pass a Sauber as well at the minute. 41 seconds to Kimi Antonelli. The spread of this field in this Grand Prix is outrageous. A safety car now would actually be pretty perfect because everyone behind me has been lapped, we'd be in a situation that we were in Brazil, but the opposite of, in that rather than the car ahead of me being a lap ahead, the car behind me would be a lap behind. So whilst we maintain the gap over George Russell behind, a safety car would be very welcome. I definitely box under it as well. Actually, would I? Because otherwise I might put myself in the same position as Brazil. No, I wouldn't box under it. I'd like to, but I definitely wouldn't get out in front of George. We don't want to make the same mistake as Brazil again. I do have that used set of sauce to go to. A VSC could come in handy. We could take a cheap stop under a virtual safety car. Obviously not need to then worry about whether we've been lapped or not. But we do have almost a free pit stop behind at the minute.
Okay, no issues with tyre wear for now. Keep taking care of them.
We probably do, even though it says I'll come out in 8th. I'd probably come out still in 6th if I boxed for those used softs, which certainly would take us to the end of the race from here, albeit they'd be very, very worn by the time they got there. Similarly worn to the mediums as they were in the last stint, and really as the hards are going to be at the end of this stint too. But it is an option for us now, provided it's just a VSC, not a full safety car. If there's a full safety car, we stay out. Thank you, Nico.
Gap to the car in front.
Sign the bloody contract, mate, will you?
Seconds.
It's the second race in a row we've lapped Nico Hulkenberg. But it's got nothing to do with him as a driver, it's purely the car he's driving. We've offered him the opportunity to drive a better car next season. He's already rejected us once, but we've tried again. Hopefully this time Nico will actually say yes to us. If he doesn't, we're very much running the risk of only having the opportunity to run Martin and Maloney again for Season 2, which would not be ideal at all in terms of trying to go for any sort of genuine Constructors' champion, or not championship, but Constructors' midfield improvement. With the points we're going to score here in Qatar, we are going to put ourselves in a very strong position for the season finale in Abu Dhabi to try and stay ahead of Aston Martin in the Constructors' Championship. But if we are still with Maloney and Martin next season, then, I mean, obviously in the first half of the season I'd probably be challenging for more points than I was this year, but I don't know whether it would be challenging for enough points to actually see us break into the top 4 or 5 in the Constructors' Championship. So we might find ourselves, in terms of the overall competitiveness of the team in the Constructors' Championship, stalling a little bit. Obviously the progression of the car will continue as we'll upgrade it as the season wears on, but compared to the other teams and the amount of points they'll be scoring, I don't think our Constructors' Championship position will improve from Season 1 to Season 2 if we're stuck with Martin and Maloney for another year. I will have the opportunity to sign a free agent. Actually, no, will I? Because it wouldn't let me approach Liam Lawson because of Yuki being stuck there and us already approaching Nico. So I presume it wouldn't let me approach someone like Colapinto as a free agent or any of the Icon drivers either. 7 laps really, because George is going to catch me, I'm sure. There he is, before the end of the race. And if he doesn't, I'll just slow down and let him. Yellow flags. I think it's with one of, and it's Antonelli. Antonelli is retiring. Kimi Antonelli is out, so we will gain a position. It will be P5 for us here. Kimi Antonelli is going to not finish this Grand Prix, unfortunately for him. I think Tsunoda had made it past him to get up onto the podium, and Antonelli was running P4.
You're dropping a second a lap to the car behind. 1 second.
But unfortunately for Kimi, he's not even going to get that P4. He's out. He's not going to get anything, and we're going to finish top 5 here. The gap to Lando is coming down as well. albeit very, very slowly. But the gap to Lando has been coming down over the past couple of laps by about a tenth or so a lap. Kimi is out. He's off there on the exit somewhere in the runoff. George Russell is now there
Flag.
and much closer to me than he was last lap. So George will organically catch me before the end of the race. I won't just have to let him through, I don't feel, to finish on lap 56. I think he will just get me. George has officially come to get me.
Create a gap and let the car behind.
So it will now be possible for Leclerc to catch me. But with 4 laps to go when we cross the line, 53, 4, 5 and 6, he's not going to catch me. Charles Leclerc is not 4.5 seconds a lap faster than us right now. Charles Leclerc will finish in P6. It'll be a 6 and 7 for Ferrari. It'll be a 2 and 3, sorry, for Red Bull. And unfortunately for Mercedes, it will be just the 1, not a 1 and 4. But that's not going to upset George Russell at all. A win in the sprint, and he's going to win this one too. Max is on his way, but he's too far behind to challenge George Russell. Russell's been nowhere really in terms of the top for the majority of this season, but here in Qatar, he just has the pace.
Gap ahead, please. 12.8 seconds.
Oh yeah, sure, I'll keep an eye on that, shall I? On the last lap, I'll just keep an eye and see if that 12.8 second gap disappears in the next 40 seconds. Well, George Russell is going to win the Qatari Grand Prix. Max Verstappen is going to finish second, and Yuki Tsunoda is going to finish third. But we, despite running the majority of the race on our own entirely, are going to get a very respectable P5 for Chesnoid Racing F1 team here in Qatar. And we'll absolutely take that. With Abu Dhabi on the horizon, not really expecting to be this competitive there. But I'd like to challenge for points still in Abu Dhabi. But a great result for George, solid result for Red Bull, and a great result for us as well. That is another 10 points to go towards our challenge with Aston Martin in the Constructors' Championship. Now, I believe that there might well have been an Aston Martin or two in the points behind us, which will have been helped, of course, by the retirement of Kimi Antonelli. Are there any Aston Martins in the points? No. 12th and 3rd. Actually, no, hang on. Yes, that's the mix weekend. In the race itself, Stroll finished P10. Sainz went from 20th to 9th, so no surprises that he got driver of the day there. Although Lewis 14th to 7th is still a decent result as well. A very good Grand Prix for ourselves. We'll take those 10 points, take them all the way to the bank. And now let's go and find out if Nico Hülkenberg has said yes or not. I spent all the money because I don't even know where I caused the damage. I didn't get any damage in that race, so for some reason I've lost 50 grand somewhere. Maybe floor damage from going over the curbs that I wasn't aware of or informed about. And that's not much of an increase to fan sentiment considering a strong finish there. At all, really. Would have been nice to have some good races recently placed once you get more top 10s. Come on, give me a break. P5 in Qatar, that deserves more than just a thin slither of a fan sentiment improvement, surely. Right, Nico. Sign on the dotted line, please. Front wing stuff failing. Yes! Nico Hülkenberg contract accepted. Great news! Our contract offer has been accepted and we have signed Nico Hülkenberg for the next season. Yeah! And, weirdly, on a lesser contract than we offered him the first time around. We offered him less money this time than we did the first time, and he said yes! Excellent. You love to see it. You really, really do. Owner training, have I got another thingy here? Ooh, I got a point available. I've thrown a lot into corporate and a lot into personnel so far. I just don't need the resource points at the minute. Well, they are looking into the fact that actually you upgrade the car slightly, well, not even slightly, considerably quicker than perhaps you should do. The impact upon a driver's perception when they reject your contract is reduced. I'd like more money, though, to be fair. Reduce the negative impact on future contract terms and code when your sponsor rejects your counteroffer. That's not really important for us. What was this one? Earn $100,000 after each race while winning a rivalry. Yep. That'll do, because we are winning the Aston Martin rivalry, although I don't have enough time to add that on before we get to the next race weekend. Messages wise, it would say points on the board, driver signing. I know that's Yuki Tsunoda. They've not emailed me about Nico yet. Right. Research. See, look, this is after one season. We are 3/4 of the way through, or 2/3 of the way through aerodynamics and chassis already, after less than a single season. So certainly they need to slow down the progression of the user team in career mode, because it's just too quick. There's just no other way to put it. It's just too quick. I've also seen people say that they've kind of started saves with reduced resource points and still grown too quick, even though they've started with the reduced option in the settings. So something to bear in mind. We may end up doing a second My Team save, perhaps, maybe on PC, with some livery graphic alterations and mods, so that we can kind of re-envisage or redo a real life X team. So we were maybe planning on doing a Jordan save last year and never got the opportunity to, but maybe we do something similar now.
Boss, need to make you aware of something. Another team has made an approach for one of the drivers we're talking to. It's hard to say how far it's gone, but if you're serious about signing them, I'd advise moving quickly. You can find more details in the driver contract screen.
So Connorsport, who aren't in my save, have apparently approached Zane Maloney. Not really sure about that. That feels a little bit weird. Okay. Well, Nico signed, but I can't sign anyone else. Signed elsewhere. So we are going to have to sign Martin, I believe, for another season, because I won't have the opportunity to sign anyone else. I physically can't approach any other driver, so we're going to... I'll wait until the very last moment, but at the minute it looks like Hulkenberg and Martin will be our... You're right, chat. Chat just corrected me. I saw the KS F1 team and thought, oh, Connorsport. It's not. It's Kick Sauber. So, Sauber look like they're going to replace Hulkenberg, who's coming to me, with a straight swap for Zane Maloney. That's what's actually happening. Apologies for the misunderstanding. So, I have more detail. I can approach Martin. I'd be intrigued to know what happens if I don't approach either of my current drivers. I guess I would just then have to sign another free agent, which would leave me with the opportunity to sign Colapinto as it stands. So maybe I take the risk, don't offer either of my current drivers a new contract, and then
get that performance on the car.
We'll hopefully have the opportunity to sign a free agent at the end of the season. Maybe, or it will just, because I haven't negotiated with anyone, it will just default and automatically give an offer to Martin. I don't know. Let's do the rear downforce series. We have the opportunity to do so now, and the resource points available. But the car is very close to having the final level of unlocks available now. But with regards let's have a look at the... Where is it going to be? Results. Let's have a look at the championship standings. So we are now 6 16 points, no, yeah, 16 points clear of Aston Martin heading into the final round of the championship. So surely we get 6th in the constructors here. George has just come from nowhere in the past 4 Grand Prix to get a second, a first, and a first. Prior to that, prior to Mexico, he'd only been on the podium once in Monaco, and that was it. And now he's got 2 second places and 2 wins. Have Mercedes just turned up out of nowhere? Kimi's got 2 P4s and 2 DNFs, to be fair, in that same 4 race span. We've got a 5th and an 8th in the last 2. We're heading into Abu Dhabi hoping to get a decent result as well. So we've got a 3rd and a 10th in Brazil too when racing as Zane Maloney. The P15 in America wasn't the greatest, obviously. But Maloney's got 16 points. In fact, if I hadn't raced as Maloney and he took his points out and presumed that I hadn't gotten points with Martin in the other 3 races, we would be level on points with Aston Martin heading into the final round of the championship. But Alonso has 61 points and he's not in point scoring form. 15th, 12th, 11th. And, well, Lance Stroll is 11th, 19th, 17th, 10th. So I think it's probably pretty nailed on that we finished 6th in the constructors here. So we will head into Abu Dhabi for the season finale in the next episode. And then hopefully we'll be able to sign someone else to come in alongside Nico Hulkenberg. But I'm not sure how that's going to work. So don't miss out on the season finale, which will come to you tomorrow, because it might be quite a cliffhanger. For now, though, not much of a cliffhanger, but that is all for this episode. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you tomorrow for Abu Dhabi.